Run some
Yes,
more.
I! Yes,
I think I know that guy intimately. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity, and I want to thank the organizers for Long Story Short for allowing me to share a little bit about where I'm coming from. Yeah, I'm 29 years old, and I say that with all the wisdom of 29 years learning how to live and discovering who I want to be, and a part of that means discovering who you do not want to be. So for anybody in this audience who has been made to feel insignificant because you're not 35 and 40, but you have a little wisdom to share and a little guidance and some life lessons to pass on to people around you, I want you to know that it's not the years in your life, but the life in your years. And I've lived a life that can only be defined as revealing. And I use that word because there are parts of me that I would rather not share with people, but I don't get a choice. So for those of you who have the benefit of privacy, a private moment, a journey that you can choose whether or not you want to share, consider that blessed, and don't allow social media to make you feel like you need to give up more than you want to give up. So the first thing I want you to remember is that where you have authority over the story you write, you don't have to tell all the parts until you are comfortable telling them. And a part of living authentically is knowing when you are ready to share something. And if you're not ready, you're just not ready. I don't have that blessing 24/7 because when I was pregnant, I wasn't ready to share it. I wasn't sure what it meant. I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do. I wasn't sure if I was feeling all the right kinds of emotions and if I would even understand who I would become in this new phase. But unfortunately, I didn't get to give permission to tell that story. And up to 2018, I had not yet understood fully the power of telling your story by yourself and not allowing anybody to tell it for you. Because when you are silent and when you refuse to speak and your story is being told for you, it's a very hard run to catch up and correct it. And so the permission I give myself is only when I'm ready, though, because if I'm not ready, I'm still not going to share. But it will not be that I'm not ready out of fear. And so I had to learn before the age of 30 how to kill fear. So long story short, I wrote a book about all the times in my life when fear was trying to drive me, and I had to kill it and take back control of my life and do it the way that I wanted to do it and not how anybody thought it was best done. I was born in Golden Spring in 110 to a mother and father. Now who that come from Golden Spring? All right, yeah, big up Golden Spring. To a mother and father who themselves were trying to figure out what it meant to be parents. At the age of 3, my mom left my father because he insisted that he was still going to profile and not provide for his family. So she left and we ended up in Portmore. And I remember that feeling of disassociation because I loved my dad and there was nothing he could do wrong. He wasn't paying my school fee, but is that really a problem, mommy? Is that something you break up with somebody for? He wasn't home rearing us and giving us meaning myself and my younger brother, any powerful life lessons. But he's buying ice cream, so is that really something that you're gonna leave somebody for? And for the rest of my life up to age 14, I did not forgive my mother for leaving my dad. I remember when I was in grade 1 at Waterford Primary, there was a spelling test. And this was how I realized that I was dunce. Now that's not something every child can recognize at the age of 6, because in grade 1 I was 6 years old. And I remember there's a spelling test going on. The class was just so focused on writing the words and spelling them. And there was a word that the teacher said. And I realized everybody went down on the paper and they were writing the word. And I'm like, what is the first letter? Like, how is everybody writing a word? And I don't even know what the first letter is supposed to be. I can't even try at it to even get it wrong. And I looked through the window in the schoolyard. It was empty at the time because break's over. And I'm looking through the window and I'm saying, wow, this is what it means to be dunce. And I said, you know, I'm not gonna dunce again. Because I don't like how it feel to be dunce. and I put my left thumb in my mouth and I sucked my finger right through that exam. The next year I placed first in my class. The year after that, I was in the top 3, because you know, when you come out of the dunce class and go into the bright class, you have real competition now, right? It's easy to be the brightest among the dunces, but to be the brightest among the bright is a difficult task. So I remember that day very well because it was eye-opening for me, and it is where I decided as a human being that there was more in me. And if somebody else was able to do something, it is proof that it can be done, and I'm going to do it. Long story short, we're moving from me at 6, 7 years old trying to figure out why I can know things and learn things. And I end up completing UWI and going on to represent the University of the West Indies on a global stage at the World Universities Debating Championship, standing among white, bright and right young men and women from Harvard and Princeton and Cambridge and Oxford and all the big, beautiful universities that you can think of. And I remember feeling like that grade 6 girl again, grade 1 girl again. And my coach was prodding me and, you know, reminding me that I am worthy and I'm good enough and I couldn't have gotten here if I wasn't really bright. And I remember that moment in the classroom all over, looking through the window. This time there was no window because we're in a room, and just feeling like you were not worthy. You were not qualified to be in the room. This little black girl with her afro coming from Jamaica, and nobody even knows what UWI is. Every time I say it, I have to explain what it is and where I'm from. But I'm here expected to represent boldly. And my debate coach, Mr. Carlton Lowry, said to me, and he said this to me twice, before I actually won and after I won. He said, "Your playing small does not serve the world. So you standing there pretending like your little is not fooling me, you're only fooling yourself, and it serves nobody in this room." I'ma say, yeah, achoo, I'm a little, a Jamaica I come from. You know what my people them do? You're out of there, right? Come, give me the sentence now, come, I'm gonna do my public speaking. And I did it. And I won. And when I won, I could not believe that I had won. And they said, the #1 public speaker at the World University Debating Championship is... And I'm looking around like, oh, it must be one of these cute, handsome fellows from Princeton. And they say, Krystal Tomlinson. And I didn't even hear my name. Yeah, I didn't even hear my name. And I went up, I collected the award. They're, you know, celebrating the greatness and just, oh my God, we've never won before. And this is so amazing. When we go back to Jamaica, they have to keep funding the debate society. And I said, I can't believe I won. And he said it again. He said, Krystal, your playing small does not serve the world. I said, yeah. He said, I'm come off of the plane at Jamaica. And them said, we want to speak to him. I said, yes, I'm ready for my interview. Let's speak. Right? So what do you want to know? And I say that to say, there are moments when you have to affirm yourself like I had to do in that grade 1 classroom. And there are moments when you have people around you who are trying to affirm you. And when you get that affirmation, even in the moment that you don't want to believe it, receive it. Because yes, you have to believe in yourself before anybody believes in you. But what a blessing it is when people believe in you before you believe in yourself. And they affirm that power and give you that permission to release your big, beautiful, awesome self on the world. And what he did for me in Botswana created a brand new Krystal when I came back to Jamaica. And I want to honor him today because a part of this story that's still unfolding, I have to credit to Mr. Carlton Lowry, a former Director of Student Services at the University of the West Indies, Mona. And like Mrs. Amina Blackwood meets, him go bed early. So he's probably not seeing this. But every chance I get, I tell him what he has done for me just because he believed that I was capable and spoke to me as though I was capable. And I've been living that ever since. But the other part of this fear killing is not knowing who you want to be or who you do not want to be anymore. And that took me a little while to figure out. So here is who I wanted to be. I wanted to be somebody who did things purposefully. I have no idea how it will impact the world, but if I do it, it must be because I believe passionately that what I'm doing is the right thing. I was at UA in my final year of my first degree, and I mobilized students to protest and, in effect, mash up examinations on the UA campus. I felt deeply that it was absolutely wrong to tell a student that the cost of their education, and I'm going to use an analogy, the cost of bread is $100, and that student can only pay you $50. You take the $50, and if they can't give you the other $50, they get no bread. They don't even get half a bread, you know. They get no bread. So that's straight F for the semester. They can't get back the $50 that they paid you for the half a bread. They have to pay you the $50 that they owe you for the full loaf of bread, having already denied them the loaf of bread. And then they must start over. They must find somebody to give them a grant with a semester worth of Fs on their transcript. And they can never redeem the money that they had paid you before you gave them all those Fs. And we organized the protest. It was not well done. There were people who were to leave on flights 2 days later who had to stay back for a week extra and 2 weeks extra because they didn't get to sit the exams and had to reschedule them. But I believe so deeply in my heart that that was important to do, and I did it. My mother almost died. She died from the fear that life in Jamaica for Krystal was over. Jamaica is too small for you to embarrass a minister of education, a principal of your university. An entire government now has to answer this question about what is going on at UN, what's going on with youth. And she remembered sitting down and hearing an interview with the Minister of Education at the time, Reverend Ronald Thwaites, with Emily Crooks, describing how poor in character I was, how I lacked the qualifications to be a leader, how there was nothing exemplary about the work that I did, and I was only reinforcing this concept of violence and take it by force and not honoring processes and procedure. And she said, Krystal, at this point, you may just need to try and get a visa and leave, because there's no future for you here if the government is not on your side. And I have lived to see myself sit in a room with Ronnie Thwaites, offering advice, sharing ideas, earning respect, and now being put in a position as a possible member of parliament for the very party that my mother thought I had embarrassed too much to even survive in this country professionally. Long story short, do it purposely. Whatever it is your hand finds to do, no matter how small you think it is, no matter how scary you feel like it is, do it as though you're doing it for God. And if you are convicted so powerfully to do something like that, don't allow the fear of what the future could hold to stop you from doing it. Now that involves a little bit of recklessness. It involves a little bit of wanton behavior and thought. But you have to give yourself permission to figure life out, because every day we get up taking a risk. And I would rather take a risk on principle than to not take a risk because of fear. And I have to remind myself about that every day, because nothing about my life is 1, 2, 3. It requires a lot of thought before I hit post, tweet, or share. And I have to remind myself, I'm doing this with a purpose in mind, and I'm convicted in my gut that this is the right thing to do. So I survived that wave of embarrassment and went on to be awarded the Premier Award for Leadership at the University of the West Indies and the Premier Award for Culture at the University of the West Indies. So all the things I feared seemed to be the reason that I was able to do and be recognized in the way that I was at UA. And anybody here was at UA? UA full of people. Like you can go UA and nobody no notice you. You can go to UA and leave and nobody misses you, because it's huge. And so I'm really humbled that I was able to follow my gut, because that takes courage to do something scary and allow the chips to fall where they may. And I pray that I have the strength to do that always and forever, because I'm not going to do it unless it feels like purpose. The last thing I want to share is about my relationship. Most people know I'm in a relationship with the king of the dance hall, Moses Beanie Man Davis. That was scary. It was scary to believe that I, Krystal Tomlinson, could even stand in the presence of someone so awesome. I didn't believe that. When I first met him, I had to remind myself, like I literally had to say to myself, this is a human being, flesh and blood is right here beside me. There's nothing different from him and me. We're all humans. Because you recognize greatness just by energy, whether you have a Grammy or not, whether you have decades in the business or not. The energy of somebody will tell you when you're in the presence of somebody that is powerful, and that will make you feel timid. That will make you cower, and that will make you not want to speak. And anything they say is a yes, because you just feel like I must bend in your presence. And it's easy to feel that way around people who you revere and respect. I could not believe that I met him. I could not believe that he saw me. And I could not believe the first time he said, I love you, that he meant it. I say all of that to say, and this applies for men and for women, you are worthy of love. You are enveloped by love. Whether or not you have a man, love surrounds you. Whether or not you have a woman, love surrounds you. Once you have life, it is evidence that God loves you, because he continues to breathe energy into your body and your bones, so you are here for another day. So you are worthy of love. You are enveloped by love, and you are an unending source of love. And because I recognize that about me, I could stop the negative self-talk in my head telling me that this is not going to work, and what people are saying is right. It's not going to work, and this is just a phase, and one day you're going to wake up and you're going to hear that there's somebody else, and you're going to find out in the paper that him have another woman or something was happening. And everyone who spoke in this ear to give me all the reasons why it would not work, I had to filter that through knowledge that I am worthy of love. I'm enveloped by love, so I'm in a short height, and there's nothing I'm going to do to get love, because it's not something that is scarce in my life. That allows you to set standards for who you want to be in your relationships. So check what you are doing to keep whatever scarce love you think you're getting from somebody, and make sure you don't drop your standards, because you are enveloped by love already. And I am an unending source of love. And what that means is I know how to love you. Krystal knows how to love people. I forgive, I am compassionate, I am understanding, and I am honest. And I had to remind myself of that. I know how to love people. And I trusted that I would know how to love him in a way that would make it work. Now, none of that is a recipe for a relationship working. You can be and say and do all of that, and it just does not work. And so in this moment, I also want to recognize Moses for being the right partner for me at the right time in my life, to feed me the right kind of energy I need to tell this next and to live this next story, of this next chapter of my story as a mother. Because he has breathed in a very tangible way new life into my life with our daughter Zia. And that itself is a journey that is still unfolding for me. I have no idea what I'm doing. My mother has no idea what I'm doing. And there's nobody I can ask enough questions to feel comfortable that I know exactly what I'm doing. But I affirm completely and every day that I am worthy of love. I am enveloped by love, and I am an unending source of love. And that is because God made me, and me have been picked me, and God is love. So he has already told me that I am his, and he is love. And so I have no doubt that as hard as life will get, and as difficult as this journey of life will be, because I can't figure it out, and parenting, I still don't figure it out. But I trust that I serve a loving God who will unlock at every level the wisdom and the knowledge that I need to make it past whatever that hurdle is. And so I'm saying thank you for listening, for hearing, for valuing my story. It just start tell, because I don't even reach 30 yet. But I'm so conscious that with every single day, I get a chance to learn a lesson. And as I learn it, I take note of it. And where I can, I will share it. So continue to listen to your life. It is a journey to yourself, but it requires knowing who you are by first knowing who you don't want to be. And Krystal, long story short, don't want to be a coward. And so I continue to choose courage every day in face of all the things that would want me to be afraid. Thank you.